Welcome to Ability Assistance. My name is Phyllis Jones, Chair of the North Andover Commission on Ability Assistance.
My name is Stacy Leibowitz, Secretary of the North Andover Commission on Ability Assistance.
Today's guest is Ellice Patterson, founder and executive and artistic director of Abilities Dance Boston. Ellice, welcome. I had the opportunity to watch your folks dance in an Abilities Expo in Boston years and years ago, and I was extremely impressed with what I saw. They were absolutely magical. Can you please explain to us how you started Abilities Dance Boston?
Absolutely, and thank you for having me. So I founded Abilities Dance when I, as a disabled dancer, needed a space to perform professionally, but also create the stories that I needed to see, and that was indicative of the multiple communities and cultures that I and others in my community inhabit that we just weren't seeing in mainstream dance. And so we created that space here in Boston, and it's been steadily going and growing ever since.
Now, when exactly did you create, excuse me, when exactly did you create Abilities Dance Boston? How old is that?
Yeah, it was founded in 2017.
2013?
2017.
2017.
Yes.
Okay.
And we've been continually growing, and I started full-time in 2022, and we've only continued to go and grow from there.
I love hearing that. I love
That's
it.
amazing.
I truly do. What we're going to do is we're going to cut now to a small bit of one of your more recent, I think you said it was about a year old, ballet productions that were on YouTube, which I personally found absolutely stunning. And then I want to talk a little bit more about that production. So let's cut to that.
Librarian Leslie is reaching towards something more than her current reality. She turns to face left as if holding a diverse book that has vanished due to these sweeping book bans that have hit her community. Facing front, she lowers her torso as she offers up this wish to the sky and releases. She rises with arms curved up, spinning slowly as they lower. As she arabesques, she wonders why so many are hesitant to let all, but especially youth, learn about themselves and the people around them, past and present. She daintily weaves through all the school committees, library boards, and other spaces that have made these regulations possible, until she notices sparks coming out of a book. She reaches towards it, and swirls leap off the pages. She's dazzled by the fabulousness and hops in excitement. She stretches into a lunge on the floor and lowers the book as its magic fills the air. Seated facing front, arms brush through the air to make a circle as she's taking in this energy. Her arm brushes her face as she leans on one knee and kicks into a lunge. Arms opening up like the ballerina she is as she's dancing in this adventurous energy around her. She stands as her left leg brushes up and behind. She is choosing to embrace this beautifully queer energy and not suppress it. As she skips side to side, she is reminded that our community is not just hardship, but filled with joy. She revels in a spin. Her library has enacted a series of book bans that deny so many diverse representations of others or who you can be. Her hand brushes her face to self-soothe. Her arms flutter like butterflies as she steps across the stage on her toes, wishing an imaginary fairy book mother could fix this. She moves her hand as she writes her own story in the air that will allow her queer and trans community to thrive on the page and in real life. As she rises, she realizes jumping into this book might be the key. The swirls from the book flow with her arms as they swing back and forth like a pendulum and the time running out to take a stand. She decides to embody this energy as it enters her. She pushes off a press of energy as stars shoot from her hands, flicking back. She elongates into a T as bolts of lighting shoot from her arms and legs. She spins, embracing the whirlwind of this new world, and dives into the book.
That was stunning.
That was amazing. So
Yeah.
beautiful.
I wanted to start with that first because you have two programs. You have the performance program and you have the teaching program. So let's start with the performance program. Can you tell us a little bit about the dancer in that production?
Well, just to give kind of an overview of our performing company program, they're all adult artists with disabled and or other diverse identities that are not just dancers, but musicians and composers and an animator in that particular piece. And all of these folks that work together to create really stunning works of art on stage. And as the lead choreographer and artistic director, creating those storylines has been a joy to kind of see all the pieces come together on stage and also see how it resonates with everyone. In that particular show, that was our 2023 ballet, band ballet, that was really centering band books. And that lead in that ballet was Leslie Taub, and she is librarian Leslie in the show, as she is frustrated with these different book bans and diving into a story where she goes on this adventure and meeting different heroes and villains and understanding their whys as they go through that journey.
So let's delve a little bit into the different disabilities that the people who worked on putting that, just a little 5 minutes that we saw of an hour-and-a-half production that I was able to watch on YouTube. Let's start with the choreographer. What is the choreographer's background that put that particular production together?
Yes, so I'm the choreographer, and my background has been, I've been in dance off and on since I was 4. I paused for a bit when I thought dance wasn't for me, and then came back to it in later years and developed my own praxis that's centered in ballet and modern techniques, but that can adapt and expand for a variety of body minds. Yeah.
And I saw you walk with an assistance device. that you utilize very beautifully in what I've seen you dance. Is that one of the reasons why the space wasn't available to you appropriately to dance in
Correct.
other locations?
Yes. Yes, sorry
Okay.
to get you up. But yes, there was a number of access reasons. Either the studios themselves weren't accessible, or the choreographers weren't interested in adapting to identities like mine. And so that led me to create that space. But yeah, I'm a multiply disabled person. I use mobility aids, but I also have a variety of disabilities that impact how I move and understand the world. And they all also influence how I show up into these artistic spaces to really bring multidisciplinary works to life.
And then, so you have yourself, the musicians who did this. Can you explain a little bit about their backgrounds in terms of how they fit in with diverse backgrounds? What I'm trying to build is a whole picture so that people can truly understand that it doesn't matter what abilities you have, you still have abilities.
It seems like such an inclusive
Exactly.
space where there's that intersectionality of different, as you would say, abilities.
So if you could tell us, let's focus
Yeah.
in on the musicians. What sort of abilities do they have that make them special as to performing with your dance group?
Understood. Well, I don't usually share specific identities because I just believe that's for others to share in their own space and time. I do give a broad picture of we have a variety of identities within the company, and that can range from both physical to neurodivergence to sensory to other chronic illness, mental health, etc., that all kind of bring their life stories and life experiences into this work. And a lot of the characters are reflective of them, and even musicians, where they have a variety of disabled and diverse identities, not just within disability space, but also within racial identities, queer and trans identities, etc. So that we really try to have on stage a variety of the identities that we have in mind.
And to kind of jump in as far as the performances, I mean, what we just watched was exquisite. It was beautiful. Where, you know, you're based out of Boston, where do you perform, like say around the state or in New England, and who do you partner with potentially to do some of these performances so people know? Because I think this is, obviously you have these videos on YouTube, but if somebody wanted to see you live, for example, where do you hold these performances?
Yeah, for sure. We have, well, our artists are also across the country, which is also something that makes us unique. That particular dancer that was highlighted, Leslie, is actually New York based, so it's a treat that we get to work with her. But our performances take place largely in the greater Boston area, in Cambridge or Boston. For instance, our upcoming April show will be at the Multicultural Arts Center in Cambridge, and that has been typically a mainstay for our spring shows. And our fall shows for the past couple of years have been at the Strand Theater in Dorchester. But outside of that, we do community performances all across the state. Where we've been actually in the Andover area, we've been in Western Mass. It's been a variety of spaces that we have been in. So we try to in person reach different spaces and partner with different organizations across the state. But for our own self-produced productions like the band ballet, where we're solely producing that, it's typically in the greater Boston area, but live streamed so that folks across the state who might not be able to get to it in person can still enjoy the performance and be a part of the world we're building.
Now, I also noticed you had in the top left corner, you had somebody doing ASL, and it was not conversational ASL, but ASL, which is used for performance, which is very different. How many interpreters do you usually have? Because I know when you're talking about, like when the governor would make some sort of a speech, you actually had two
Right.
different ones hand off to each other because it's a lot of work. How many ASL performers do you usually have in a particular show?
Yeah, we have 2 to 3, depending on the show and the lift of it. Uh, they are interpreting the audio descriptions that I wrote, that were also edited by Piercy to make sure they're actually of use to blind community. And so there is an overlap too in just how we are utilizing access, where they are interpreting the narrative part of the audio descriptions, and that there is a connection between how we're all experiencing the work.
No, it's absolutely gorgeous. So you perform. Do these same dancers and musicians all train with you as well, or do they possibly train with different companies or schools across the area?
Yes, so those in our performing company have trained independently because there just happens to be a certain level of rigor that is required in that work. As you can see, it takes a lot to bring these works of art on stage, and so having folks that are at a certain level of experience is important. But we do have a community engagement program where we do a number of adaptive dance education for a variety of community centers, schools, etc. Also across the region, so that we can continue to make dance accessible for a variety of students.
And in terms of your schooling and how you do in terms of teaching folks with different abilities to dance, can you explain a little bit more about that?
For sure. I've taken what I've learned in different ballet and contemporary techniques and kind of adapted that to where I know adaptations that I use to utilize on stage and that others in the company have used, as well as just having the experience of working with a number of different deaf and disabled students. And so utilizing that as a basis to give to teachers in our community engagement program has been great, because the curriculum really evolves for the students in the room, and it's not a rigid curriculum that a lot of folks can't enter, but meant to be surrounding the students and supporting in their physical, social, emotional wellness goals that they co-create with the teacher.
So I guess that brings us more to that area of teaching that you do, because obviously there's the performance piece and the teaching piece. Please go into that a little bit more. What are the kinds of programming you have around teaching? Are there different kinds of dance involved? Who can be taught? Are you only working with adults? Are you working with children who might be interested in adaptive dance? What does this look like? And what is the affordability for people who are interested in doing that?
Absolutely. We work with all ages from pre-K through elders. We typically work with partner sites, so places like elder centers or schools or community centers, or other partner sites that are looking to add dance into their repertoire of programming and go on location to those sites, so that students aren't also having to travel, and provide classes for them. And for all the students, it is free. For the partner sites, there is fee, but even for some of them, we do work with them on a sliding scale or free basis, so that we can continue to provide classes for students who are really interested and engaged to continue to create this work. And independently, we are open to virtual classes for independent students on a sliding scale as well, if folks are interested in reaching out to see what can exist in either individually, or if they want to bring us into their community centers or schools or other centers.
So what you're really doing is you're tailoring it to each, it's not even stickered or you're actually tailoring everything to any particular student based upon their location, their ability, their financial ability to be able to participate effectively in your programs.
Correct. That's important for us because accessibility also includes financial means, and so we want to make sure that we are working within students and partner sites' means to still have high quality dance education, but at a rate that they can afford.
Now, let me also ask you this. We've got probably half a dozen dance schools just in North Andover alone. If one of these private dance schools wanted to become more inclusive and have the ability to become more inclusive, I'm just thinking out loud here, somebody with autism or somebody who might be requiring a wheelchair. Okay, so we'll take it from both the mental health as well as the physical disability levels. Can they reach out to you and say, hey, we'd like to be able to put this as part of what we do, can you work with us? Is that something you would do?
Absolutely. We're always welcome to workshops, or we even do consulting with different arts organizations on how they can be more accessible both internally and externally, so that they can continue to not just have inclusive programming for kind of external folks, but also think of ways that they can be more accessible in terms of potentially hiring more disabled folks, so that they can continue to have that lived experience and continue to inform the decisions that they're making.
No, that's fantastic, because one of the big things that I know Stacy and I try to do is highlight the fact that there's different types of abilities, and there are different things that might prohibit people from being able to participate in different things. And so many kids typically want to take dance. Primarily, I know there are a lot of elderly people who also want to take dance, and
there's some benefits to that, too,
Yes.
to that movement, because I know for people with Alzheimer's, memory loss, that music and movement can be incredibly beneficial. So seeing that you're doing that there is that outreach and partnership that may happen, or the ability to happen, is really, really critical.
I personally think, I love it when people think outside the box.
Yes.
Ellice, thank you for thinking outside the box, because that's really what you did with this.
Yeah.
It's absolutely stunning.
I think, just to add, one of the things I'm impressed with the video that we watched wasn't just the ASL interpretation, but also the voiceover, because you have people who are visually impaired.
Yes.
And walking through, so I was trying to watch but listen, because that opens up that other sense, the imagination. So clearly you're thinking of all of those pieces, which is greatly appreciated.
Oh, most definitely. Is it that you came to the ability to do that step by step as more people of different abilities got involved, or did you just naturally understand to do that?
Realized that that was an element of my work that was missing, and I wanted to be more accessible. I originally didn't have training. There wasn't that resource available for me at the time, here at least. And so I worked with our audio descriptions editor, Amber, who is blind, and helped to support the evolution of how we developed audio description and how to go from just movement description to really balancing narration and movement description, and making it in a universal design, so that not just blind and low vision folks are taking or utilizing the service, but also folks who are new to dance and might not be understanding what is happening on stage can also understand with these audio descriptions. And so continuing to develop and evolve it in my own process and way, and also because I read a lot too, having the storyline really present within that was important. And so it was a does continue to be an evolving process.
No, I think that's fantastic because as we learn all the time, different things, like having for the Alzheimer's patients to have the music, that's something relatively new that we've discovered. So as different things evolve, then you can add that to how you put a performance together, correct?
Exactly. I think it will continue to evolve as we learn more, as we understand the evolving needs of the community more, and just as we continue to be innovative and be leaders in this field.
One of my thoughts, and maybe this is already happening with your organization or something that you're looking at, is working with individuals, whether they be children or adults with autism, who may be interested in dance, may be interested in that movement, but may have sensory issues. Maybe there's something around the music or the beat or the level of sound. I would imagine those are things that you probably, if not already looking at, are considering as well, because those, you can have those two thoughts in the same.
Yes.
They want to move. I have a granddaughter who sings in a choir or in a chorus, but she does have some sensory issues and will literally wear headphones. It seems counterintuitive, but it works.
No, well,
it works.
they've
It's like,
said
how do you?
They've said for years people who are deaf will sometimes feel the music in terms of the beats.
And the so I would imagine that's something that you would also be looking at if you're not already doing.
Absolutely. And we definitely encourage folks to bring their headphones and to bring whatever items make them feel comfortable and excited to be in the space, fidget toys, etc. There are definitely conflicting access need points that can be harder to manage, such as live music can be harder to manage audio levels sometimes, but that's something that we continue to work on. But overall, there are other sensory aspects as well, like there are no flashing lights for those of us that have seizures, because I know that can really take me out of being involved in a lot of performing arts shows, but at least in our shows that won't happen. And doing our best with audio levels, but giving that as a warning, making sure that we ask folks to not wear scented lotions and try to be as scent free as possible, and a number of requirements that we share with our not just internally but with our audience as well, and also noting that we are still a mask mandatory company, as there are a number of us that are still high risk, and so that we continue to make our community safe.
No, I think that is fantastic, especially where, like when you're talking autism, you're talking an entire spectrum, from people with Asperger's who need minimal assistance typically, to somebody who might be totally nonverbal, but they want to do something so that they're not completely isolated. No, I think that's fantastic that you're taking into account all of these, we'll call them little things, because they really are little things, but they're little things that mean a lot.
Yeah, they mean something to somebody. And, to kind of add to that, when I mentioned intersectionality earlier, nobody's one-dimensional. So you deal with people who have multicultural, multi-concerns, maybe with some kind of a disability. And it just looks like you really are thoughtful to incorporate all those things so people feel included and can enjoy the art of what you do.
And if I understood you correctly, it's not even just about performers or students who have disabilities, but you're also giving a more effective, appropriate, I'm probably using the wrong terminology, understanding space for people who might be on the LGBTQ plus rainbow, who might not otherwise feel as though they're being respected for themselves in dance, but instead are being put into, I'm a genetic boy, so I dance like a genetic boy. I'm a genetic girl, so I dance,
Right.
however pairing you want to do that up. And those people who fall into that category, do they have to have disabilities in order to participate?
That's a good
Or
question.
just the mere fact that they're on the rainbow and they want a safer space to be able to dance?
Yeah, no, they don't have to be disabled. We accept a number of different diverse identities. As a multiply marginalized person, I can't separate myself from different identities, and so I'm a multiply disabled Black queer woman, and so all of those identities are important and matter, and also are part of the work. And so having others that also identify that are in different aspects of queer identities, racial identities, ages, etc., are what help make this work so important and necessary. And we appreciate it.
No, that's all fantastic. And then, of course, you had that piece that we watched, which is very in the now, politically, I guess is the best way to describe that. Very in the now politically. Are most or all of your dances in that sort of fashion? Or are you also doing the traditional things that people think of, like Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker, sort of a thing? Or are you doing both?
So I write all of our ballets and larger shows, and they are all kind of relevant to what is happening current in community and wider. With the band ballet, for instance, that was when these different conversations were starting to really pop up in different states of book bans, and making sure that we're having these conversations now before it comes to our state in a wider way, and wanting to also have that overlapping intersectionality of queerness and disability, because there is a strong overlap, especially in neurodivergence identities. And so wanting to make that known. Intersectionality is a really strong part of all of what I do. And so it's really important to highlight that. And especially, like for instance, our upcoming April show, we're highlighting BIPOC and disabled honorees, past and present, because disability history has historically been really white. And so wanting to really center BIPOC voices as a Black disabled voice who sometimes can feel as though one identity is silenced in either space, wanting to make sure that there's room for that too.
I guess my question is, what haven't you incorporated yet that you hope to? Like it's somewhere in the back of the recesses of your mind, but you haven't been able to formulate it yet. What are you looking to do going forward? Because it seems as though you've included people of different abilities, whether it be physical or mental health. You've got people who need a safer space to be able to dance, who might fall on the LGBTQ plus rainbow at any different level. You've taken into account public comment, public interests that are in the here and now. You're writing, if I heard you correctly, you're writing your own productions. Let's look 2 or 3 years into the future. What do you hope to add to what you're doing? Because you're being extremely inclusive, and I think that in and of itself is a huge deal.
Yeah. I hope to continue to push legislation, because part of that, especially in our April show, is that we do push advocacy bills that are on the state floor that are impacting the deaf disabled community, and continuing to do that and see that some of those bills come to fruition. I hope to be able to see even more audiences in our performances, whether that be in person or virtually, just really getting the word out. Since we don't have a marketing team, it's me. So making sure that word of mouth really continues to resonate, and that we continue to support this work. And yeah, keep on keeping on.
I think we can both say that we understand that
Yes.
because this little show we've got here started with the select board giving us 5 episodes saying, oh, let's see how it
Yeah.
goes. And, you know, as you know, we're creeping towards that 50th episode with nowhere but up to
Yep.
go.
Keep going, keep moving.
To keep moving and keep going. What can we do to maybe get you up here? What would you need for us to maybe showcase something, if we could get somebody to sponsor you up here so that people don't, you know, can view somebody locally?
Yeah, we would be happy to be able to either for myself to give a lecture or a workshop on our process and what we're doing, to be able to host a few dancers, to be able to show pieces from our repertoire, and to have that be a paid commission would be great from any libraries or schools or what have you. And then also in our community engagement work, happy to have recurring classes where teachers can teach classes to different students of whatever ages. We're happy to work with different spaces in different ways, depending on what their needs are, budget is, etc. We just want to continue to keep expanding the work that we're doing and hopefully make an impact in your community.
Are you partnered with anybody across the nation to give you more of an expanse beyond just Massachusetts, where you're based here? What other areas of the country are you partnered with? Because, I mean, this is something that I should have,
Should grow.
should have no geographic
Yeah.
hindrance whatsoever.
We're working on it. It's a small team. It administratively on a more full-time level has been me up until this summer, where we have our community engagement director, Catherine DeMona, who has really taken the program and grown it in the region, as well as our music director and operations director, who had been part-time but transitioned to full-time in July. And so we're building our team, and hopefully we can continue to get the word out and continue to build those partners across the nation to bring our work to different communities. Because you're right, we have no geographic limits. We want to be able to share this work that is Massachusetts bred, but all over.
And let me ask you, what if somebody who does have a dance background, who may not fall into any of the categories that we've discussed here, but they want to maybe volunteer to teach because they just watch this program and think that it's a phenomenal thing to do? Do they have the ability to learn from you to then be able to teach and volunteer with you folks?
Absolutely. We have both volunteers as well as paid teacher opportunities where they can reach out to us over email, and then our community engagement director, Catherine, can follow up on what opportunities might lie for them.
I'm very rarely rendered speechless. You can ask Stacy that.
This is true.
I am very rarely rendered speechless, but what you have accomplished and continue to accomplish, you've rendered me speechless. You have done something that's almost nearly impossible.
It's very admirable and so important. So
Yes.
you know, we are so grateful to have had the opportunity to speak with you about this and to learn more. I think, you know, being able to share this information with North Andover, but also because of where our show is posted, many more people will see this, and I'm hoping it will point people in your direction, because I think it's what you're doing and being able to ultimately slowly expand on it it'll continue to be incredibly helpful for people and enjoyable and entertaining and all of those things. So, you know, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. We really greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much And I think I'm going to share the link for the full
Yes.
the full performance with Stacy, because I think I finally got her hooked.
I'm on it.
You're on it.
So,
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Ellice, for coming. We're before the holidays, so happy holidays. I don't know what, if anything, that you celebrate, but just a happy, healthy season overall to you. Thank you for being on the show with us.
Same to you all.
You can reach Abilities Dance Boston at abilitiesdanceboston@gmail.com and watch other productions on YouTube.
thank you to our crew this month, GLTS alumnus John Kafori, and also Northern Essex Community College student Cassie Bonanno.
We are inching closer and closer to that 50th episode. January, we're talking to the Town Emergency Management Officer, among
Other titles,
yeah,
yep.
Jeff Coco. We've got our long-awaited 50th episode in February, who will actually be our regular February guest,
Yep.
State Senator Bruce Tarr. Would you know that when I went to see his toy thing the other day, he didn't even realize he was scheduled.
Yeah.
That's because
Well, that's how good his
staffing is,
yeah.
exactly. In April, we'll have our friends from the Federation for Children with Special Needs back to discuss their new respite care program. In May, we'll be joined by State Representative Adrian Ramos. We're also actively working with State Auditor Diana DiZoglio for an episode this coming April. We just need to finalize the date.
She's a little busy. just
She's a little busy. She's going to be a special episode, but we'll talk about that
Yes.
more later. We continue to look for guests and are currently looking to book our March and June episodes before ending the 2024-2025 season. Oh my God. That being said, we are constantly looking for new topics to explore here at Ability Assistance. We would truly love to know what topics you want more information about. If there are any specific topics you would like to learn more about, email me directly at pjones@northandoverma.gov or call me 978-494-0136. In addition to watching through your cable station, you can catch all of our programs on demand via YouTube, the Cablecast app through Roku and Apple TV. Then you've got the Cablecast app you can download through your phone or tablet's app stores. The Town of North Andover's website, the Commission's Facebook page, North Andover CAM's website, and then of course all of our audios are always out on podcasts via Podbean. No matter how you celebrate the holiday season, on behalf of the cast and crew of Ability Assistance and all of us on the North Andover Commission on Ability Assistance, we wish you a happy, healthy, and peaceful holiday season.